My dear Bagginses and Buffins.
By the blood of our people, are your lands kept safe?
I see in your eyes the same fear that will take the heart of me.
So do all who live to see such times.
By all that you hold dear, this good earth.
There's some good in this earth, and it's worth fighting.
Welcome back, everyone. We are here with another Rings of Power episode. I know it's been a while. Rings of Power is just finished wrapping, and good thing too. So they wrapped just ahead of the SAG strike, the Screen Actors Guild, and this is actually a really big deal. So House of the Dragon did not. House of the Dragon now. Depending on which part of House of the Dragon they're still filming, they might still be able to film because it's only in North America. The actors that are part of the North America Screen Actors Guild, I forget what it's called in England, but if you're part of that guild, you can still work. So House of the Dragon can do some of their scenes, but I don't think they can do all of them. Rings of Power, on the other hand, completely finished. So they are good to go. Now the writers are also striking, so they won't be able to write season 3 right now. So there may be an even larger delay between season 2 and season 3, which would suck because we're already waiting an entire 2 years for season 2 to come out. So hopefully they can get that sorted out relatively soon. But I think this is really important to talk about because you're going to see a lot of shows that either have just aired or are midway through filming, movies as well, get completely deadlocked because they can't finish. And so Rings of Power might release next year with very little else going on besides it. So it'll be interesting if that happens, because then almost everyone's basically forced to watch whatever comes out new because that's the only stuff coming out. And Rings of Power being such a massive show, it's obviously going to get a lot of attention to it. So in a way, this might re-hype Rings of Power, which kind of had a drop off as people were left a little bit unhappy, if to say the least, about season 1. But yeah, I'm curious because I don't know how much you've been paying attention to the strike that's going on right now. For whatever reason, I guess I follow a lot of actors on social media, and so I see them out on the picket line. Like Jack Black's been out on the picket line and stuff like that. So I get to see what they're talking about, and they kind of explain the reason for the strike and that kind of stuff.
Hey, I mean, I heard about it, but I haven't dug into all the issues, and I heard about the writer's strike as well.
Yeah.
Well, I know some of it had to do with AI,
That's right. Yeah. So I will say, I don't know how much Rings of Power had to worry about this. Maybe they do. Maybe I don't fully understand the what's possible with AI, but from what I can gather, one of the big
just load all of the stuff they have rights to into ChatGPT.
Just copy and paste the appendices in the ChatGPT and say, write me a 5-season show about Galadriel based on this stuff. I guarantee you're not getting what Rings of Power is giving us.
Maybe it would be better. I don't know.
I mean, don't worry, people. We will have another episode where we kind of bash the show a little bit, I'm sure. But I think the thing about AI, the reason I don't think the Rings of Power has to worry too much about that, whether it goes that way or no, is because that's more for background actors. What they want to do is 3D model a bunch of low-level actors' faces as well as A-list celebrities, and have these 3D models rendered so that they can just drop them into scenes randomly in the background. The reason I don't think Rings of Power is going to do that is that, the background of these scenes is largely, it's largely empty of other actors. At least from the first season. I know there was, when we got to Numenor, that wasn't the case. So Numenor is like the exception. But other than that, I mean, you can even see here on the image in this article, this is the kind of scene that you were used to getting throughout the run time of the show. So, you know, I don't know if this is the show that is really going to utilize that technology. I could see something more like the Jack Reacher, you know, Jack Ryan, those things on Amazon Prime. They're kind of like, you know,
Yeah.
spy, like modern day spy thriller type things. Those, because they take place on modern day on city streets, you can just drop people in, if like to crowd up a street if you didn't have anyone on set that day. I personally don't think it would be very good. I think it would just feel weird, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. I will say actors don't like it. I mean, I remember even back in the day, Ian McKellen. I mean, this is a big meme, but also like a story where Ian McKellen kind of supposedly broke down on set one day because all of his scenes took place in the green screen room.
Screens, yes.
And
This was in The Hobbit, or
yeah, this was in The Hobbit. So in
Yes.
the original trilogy, a lot of that was practical. They had little people, you know, stand-ins. They had cool perspective shots. So he was at least still there with his fellow actors, even if he wasn't like right beside them in that moment. They could, like, you know, rehearse the scene and then do it just at a forced perspective. But in The Hobbit, a lot of that was just CGI green screen, and so he struggled with being able to bring that same level of acting performance because he had no one to act against. He had no one to talk to
no one
in
to
the
feed
scene.
off of.
Yeah. So you know, you can imagine, you know, just standing in a room kind of muttering to yourself about like hobbits and stuff and how that can get old pretty quick, I guess. But I don't know how real that story was. I know it happened a little bit. I just don't know how big of a deal it was. I sympathize with him though, and I personally thought that was a big problem with The Hobbit. Even though I've come a long way in appreciating the Hobbit trilogy, I do still feel there are certain scenes where the CGI is just, it's going too much. It's going crazy, and you didn't have to do this. It could have been done practical with less silliness going on in the scene. So I still think that Peter Jackson made mistakes on that trilogy that he didn't make on the original trilogy. So that, you know, it's interesting, you know, just bringing that up because here he is currently talking with, is it like New Line and Warner Brothers about making more Lord of the Rings movies. Right now, those can't go on. Those, you can't write those right now because of the strike. But even if you were to be writing them, I am curious to see how people have just really been praising Peter Jackson, and they forget that the Hobbit trilogy was kind of a misstep for a lot of fans. So it is curious to me that despite his last attempt in the Lord of the Rings world being maybe a step back, people are still super excited. I mean, I'm super excited. I was, I think, the first one to bring up the fact that he had reached out, or it was either he was reached out, or someone reached out to him to help the Rings of Power, and you know,
and
just
then they never got back.
and then
to
they
him.
ghosted him. He's like, I got notes, and they said, we don't want to hear your notes. So I mean, why even talk to? So no, that's what it was. They reached out to him saying, "Hey, could you come on as like a consultant with our writers?" He said, "Sure."
They should have hired. Is it Weta Workshop?
Yep.
Like, why not use them?
I
Or
know.
is that-
Why
is that
not
a
buy?
problem?
Why not buy the rights to the images in the? You know, we could go on about how Amazon messed this up from the get go with what they chose to buy and what they chose to not buy for no reason, as if like somehow they are gonna like penny pinch and save money on their $1 billion show. Like, why are we like trying to like nickel and dime random studios? Weta Workshops is the best CGI workshop in the world. So if you're gonna use anyone, especially someone who's a studio that's already done this
Hmm.
6 times. You figure, hey, they're at least gonna have like presets already ready to go in their programs to CGI Lord of the Rings. Why not? So yeah, it is kind of strange. But anyway, I thought it was good to say that that season 2 has finished filming, and so we're gonna get that still on schedule with whatever that schedule is. We still don't quite know what it is. It's looking like it's going to be this coming spring is the idea, I believe.
Yeah, early 2024.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah. Whereas I thought they would just keep it in the
second quarter,
fall.
maybe.
I thought they would
Yeah.
always do fall, but they're not doing that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna rewatch season 1 in this fall, and we'll see how it holds up after a year. That's what we'll do.
I regret to announce this is the end. I bid you all a very fond farewell.